At the start of the movie, we meet this swimmer, Haley Keller, who's competing at the University of Florida. She's not winning, and she's remembering how her dad used to cheer her up when she failed as a kid. After she showers, Haley opens her locker and sees her sister Beth is calling her right then. Beth says she's been trying to reach Haley all morning, and Haley says she's been busy with training. But Beth tells her their state is about to get slammed by a major hurricane real soon. She's also worried about their dad, who she can't get a hold of. Beth's afraid he's refusing to evacuate and plans to tough out the storm at home. Haley's sure her dad's okay, but promises to swing by and check on him to calm her sister down. But scared Beth reminds her again that it's super dangerous to drive to their dad with a Category 5 hurricane looming close. Haley doesn't take Beth's words seriously and heads out to her dad's place in pouring rain. Along the way, she calls him, but he still ain't picking up. Meanwhile, the weather keeps getting worse.
I swear to God if you've already left.
Soon, Haley pulls up at a checkpoint where she encounters Beth's ex-boyfriend, Wayne, who's a cop. He tells her they can't go any further because the hurricane changed course and is heading straight for them. Haley tries to persuade him to let her through because she needs to check on her dad, but Wayne urges her to turn back for her own safety. She asks Wayne to check on their dad instead and pretends to turn around. However, after failing to reach her dad again, she quickly speeds past the police and continues on. After a while, Haley reaches her dad's house. Inside, she's greeted by his dog, Sugar, but her dad is nowhere to be found. She contacts Beth via video call and assumes he might be at their old house. Beth claims it should have been sold after their parents' divorce, but Haley still decides to go there. Beth tries to talk her out of the dangerous journey and advises her to find shelter, but Haley insists. Taking Sugar with her, Haley heads to the old house. Upon arrival, she sees her dad's car parked outside the entrance and relays the news to her sister with relief. Haley enters the house and calls out for her dad, but gets no response. She searches every room and confirms that nobody's there. She dials his number again and suddenly hears his phone ringing nearby. As she tries to figure out what happened, suddenly, once she overcomes her fear, she decides to venture into the basement, where Sugar, anxiously barking at the entrance. Down below, it's dirty, dark, and damp, and she has to crawl on all fours. Here, Haley discovers abandoned tools, and then she finds her father, Dave, lying unconscious face down. A frightened Haley flips Dave over and confirms he's still alive, but soon notices gruesome, jagged wounds on his shoulder. She immediately starts dragging her father towards the exit, where an agitated Sugar awaits them. And as they reach the staircase leading up, a massive alligator attacks them. Luckily, Haley and her father manage to hide behind pipes just in time, blocking the predator's path, but they can't get out of the basement. After a while, Dave regains consciousness and tells Haley that the place is full of alligators. She responds that they've already met, and wonders how the predators got in there in the first place. Dave, exhausted, speculates they might have come through a drainage pipe from the lake. Dave is unhappy that Haley came here and tells her to leave, insisting he doesn't need help. But of course, Haley isn't about to abandon him. Haley informs him that the hurricane is very close and that all the town's residents have long been evacuated. Besides the shoulder wound, she notices her father has an open leg fracture and decides to try to get help. However, it turns out Haley's phone is left behind the pipes, shielding them from the alligators. Despite the danger, Haley decides to leave the safe spot. While she searches for the phone, she and her father discuss Haley's morning failure at the competition. She's worried she might lose her scholarship if she doesn't improve her performance. Dave tries to cheer her up, just like in her childhood, but she gets irritated. Soon enough, she finds the phone, but before she can dial 911, an alligator appears behind her. The girl drops her phone again in horror and rushes towards her father, but at the last moment, an alligator grabs her leg. Fighting off one predator, she encounters another one. Haley battles the alligators using anything she can get her hands on. Meanwhile, one of them steps on her phone, depriving her of the chance to call for help. Soon, she feels a screwdriver on the floor and hits the alligator several times with it, buying her some time to hide in a recess in the wall. Finally, the alligators leave, and Haley, grabbing a flashlight, examines her injured leg. The rain doesn't let up, and the basement starts to flood. Dave emerges from behind the pipes and tries to come up with a way out. Haley shouts, asking her father if the alligators have returned, and suggests he make his way to the front of the house to call for help. However, Dave hears some noise, and the predators are likely still nearby. So Haley decides to leave her hiding spot and cautiously makes her way to the grate leading to the street. She notices 3 people by the gas station across from the house and immediately informs her father. Haley starts signaling with the flashlight, hoping they'll notice. Meanwhile, the trio of looters enthusiastically hauls everything they can fit into their boat from the store and already plans how to spend the money from selling the stolen goods. Soon, one of the looters notices the light shining through the grate and decides to approach closer, despite the protests of his accomplice not to do so. While the man tries to see inside the house, an alligator attacks the woman in the boat. Hearing the screams, the looter turns in horror, but then the predator attacks him too. At the same time, in the store, the third unsuspecting looter packs bags of food. The wounded accomplice tries to warn him of the danger and urges him to get out of the water. The guy doesn't understand what's going on, and then the frightened guy wants to run, but it's already too late. Haley watches in horror as the events unfold and realizes that she and her father need a new plan. Soon, Dave remembers there's another way out of the basement. He tells Haley that there's a hatch in the front of the house that leads to the main staircase. Dave instructs her to move along the foundation until she hits a wall where the pipes from the basement rise into the house. Haley grabs the flashlight and follows her father's instructions. Finally, she reaches the hatch, but she can't open it because heavy furniture is blocking it inside the house.
Is there a plan B?
That was our plan B.
Sugar hears Haley trying to escape and happily approaches the hatch, but all of Haley's attempts to move the furniture and open the hatch are futile. Haley and Dave remain trapped, and the basement quickly floods, but after some time, they have a new chance at rescue. Through the grate, Haley sees Wayne approaching them on a police boat. He heads towards the house, while his partner stays outside. Haley and Dave shout as loud as they can, but Wayne continues to search the house, unable to hear them over the storm. Finally, Wayne reaches the stairs leading to the basement and, hearing voices, prepares to descend. Haley and Dave warn him about the alligators, and he tries to contact his partner for backup. However, outside, several predators are already tearing his partner apart. Within seconds, an alligator lunges at Wayne, dragging him into the flooded basement. Haley tries to get closer to help, but it's too late. Then the alligator goes after Haley, but she manages to retreat behind the pipes just in time. In despair, the girl cries on her father's chest, fearing that they won't be able to escape the trap now, but Dave assures her that they'll come up with something. He reminds Haley of how she couldn't hold her breath as a child, but with perseverance, she managed to do it. Her father urges her not to give up, just like back then. Dave sends Haley to the stairs, while he starts banging on the pipes, drawing the predator's attention to himself. He manages to lure one alligator into a trap and dispatches it with a shovel. However, the second alligator continues to circle around the stairs. Haley shouts to her father that they won't be able to escape this way and that she'll try to get out through the drainage pipe. Dave tries to dissuade her, as it's very dangerous since it's through that pipe that the alligators move between the street and the house. But Haley follows his advice and doesn't give up. Soon, Haley finds herself in the drainage ditch, where she discovers Wayne's body and an alligator nest with numerous eggs. While the shocked girl continues to look around, an alligator approaches the nest. Haley carefully pulls Wayne's body towards her and takes his service weapon. Suddenly, an alligator appears right in front of her and grabs her hand, holding the pistol, but the girl manages to fire several shots. Upon hearing the shots, Dave calls out to his daughter anxiously, and Haley informs him that she has taken out another alligator. Despite her new injury, Haley presses on. She holds her breath and swims through the drainage pipe. Almost reaching the exit, she notices an alligator floating by, fortunately not paying her any attention. Soon, she emerges in the lake and cautiously swims towards the surface, but then one of the predators lunges at her. Haley speeds up and manages to make it to the shore just in time. Meanwhile, the water nearly completely floods the basement, and Dave holds on to the ceiling for dear life to avoid drowning. Getting out of the water, Haley sees helicopters flying by, but realizes no one will notice her. She decides not to waste time and immediately runs into the house. Haley grabs tools and starts chopping through the floorboards, trying to reach her father directly, who is by now already drowning. Finally, Haley makes a hole in the floor and pulls her father out of the water, but to her horror, she discovers he's not breathing. She desperately tries to revive him with artificial respiration, but nothing works. In despair, Haley fiercely pounds on her father's chest, and they climb out of the house, only to see the streets flooded. Realizing they can't leave by car, Dave warns that the dam will soon burst, and says their only chance of survival is to reach the looters' boat left at the gas station. However, getting to it won't be easy, as the alligators swiftly react to any splash in the water. If they can cautiously and quietly cross the street, the predators won't notice them. Dave picks up Sugar, and they slowly make their way towards the gas station. Suddenly, an alligator appears next to Dave and Haley, but they freeze, and it swims past them. Unexpectedly, the downpour stops, but the rumbling of thunder and the wail of sirens foretell an impending storm. They have no time to cautiously cross the street, and Dave tells Haley she must quickly swim to the boat. He encourages her to victory, just like he did during training many years ago.
You got this! You're faster than they are!
Feeling confident in her abilities, Haley dives into the water, racing past the huge predators, then leaps into the boat and starts the motor. Haley speeds towards her father and helps him and Sugar into the boat, but then the dam breaks, and a powerful rush of water sweeps everything in its path. Their boat is caught in the wave, and they crash through the window of their own home. The boat flips over, scattering them throughout the house. Haley climbs onto the kitchen table and sees the alligators getting closer. Meanwhile, Dave makes his way to the stairs to the second floor, carrying flares. Trying to evade the alligators, Haley seeks a safe spot. Soon, she spots a police radio in the water. Luckily, it works, and Haley calls for help for herself and her father. On his way to safety, Dave stops to retrieve Sugar and call for Haley, but he's spotted by an alligator. The predator attacks Dave, biting off his arm. Hearing her father in trouble, Haley quickly comes to his aid, but now the alligator is after her. She manages to hide in the shower cabin, while Dave, in the meantime, tries to tend to his wound. Haley realizes she can't hide in the shower for long, so she decides to lure the alligator into a trap. Having made it out of the bathroom, she finds her father, and they finally make their way to the second floor. Suddenly, Haley spots a rescue helicopter outside and rushes to the window, signaling with a flare. But instead of rescuers, an alligator reacts to it, smashing through the window and bursting into the house. Haley tells her father to climb onto the roof while she tries to fend off the predator, which has grabbed her arm. The alligator holds her tightly underwater, constantly flipping her over. While she fights for her life, a multitude of childhood memories flash through her mind. Soon, she discovers a discarded flare, grabs it, and thrusts it into the alligator's eye. Haley escapes from the house through the broken window and tries to climb onto the roof, but the predator catches up to her again. Fortunately, her father is already waiting for her on the roof, and despite his serious injury, he helps her climb up. Finally, Dave, Haley, and Sugar can catch their breath in a safe place. Soon they notice the lights of a rescue helicopter in the sky, and Haley, summoning her last strength, signals with a flare, while her father looks at her with admiration. How would you escape from a trap with alligators? Share your ideas in the comments below, hit the like button, and subscribe to the channel. See you in the next videos.